What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Masculine Health Solutions podcast, where we are blessed to be joined by Dr. Stephen Gabriel, who's going to impart some of that wisdom when it comes to anti-aging. Like we were talking about off air, you kind of want to get started on that earlier. Why? You don't? Well, you're going to age in a not so graceful way, and there's a lot of different ways that we can go about actually investing in ourselves right now to give us a bigger, better, brighter future. First and foremost, Dr. Gabriel, how are you today, man?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here. Great to talk to you. I'm excited to share whatever I've learned on this journey so far with everyone.
Yeah, and the one thing, and like we were talking about off air as well, it's kind of, we share the same kind of belief, I believe, in that it all starts right now. You can't really wait on it. You can't put your health on the back burner and then expect to be healthy in the future, or try to go about it in a way that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But we've been kind of taught and been raised that way. Like, I'm going to work really hard now, then I'm going to start dying after I retire. But
Yeah,
one of the slogans that you have on your website is aging is now optional. What do you mean by that?
yeah. Great question. I remember when I came up with that and I thought, this sounds cool.
Yeah.
um, yeah. So what I really mean by that is that, I kind of look at aging as a disease in a way.
Mhm.
And I've learned this from being in the emergency department for a long time. And anyone who's ever been in the emergency department has a good sense of what's going on there. Um, and the idea is that we really can affect aging and a lot of slowing the aging process. And I do believe that as we go into the future, aging truly will be optional. But
Mhm.
even right now, we have a lot of control over the aging process in our body by choices that we make right now that are, related to, what we're eating, how we're exercising, supplementation, food, fasting, how we're living. We can slow this process down dramatically.
Yeah. And I mean, I was listening to Dave Asprey talk about that, and he thinks that we'll be able to live to 170 with ease in the near future, which is like, whoa, like we've been expecting to live to 120. But what's one of the things that really steered your mind into this direction that said, like, okay, this is actually really possible? What's one thing that you kind of really, I guess, dive deep into that changed the way that you kind of looked at aging and saying, hey, you know what, we can actually extend this or stop it?
Yeah, great question. So a couple things, and they kind of combine together. It's both on the lab data side and also clinical experience. It's interesting you mentioned Dave. I had dinner with Dave probably a little
Oh,
over
nice.
probably a year ago or something in Vegas. But here's what I'll say. Like when I was an undergrad at UCLA, I think I was telling you I was a genetics major. And I definitely had some interest in, and I won't go too far down into this unless we discuss it more, into that a lot was changing with the health of the cell or how well cells function based on the genomic integrity, is what I'll call it.
Okay.
Over time, the genes, I don't want to say the genes are just changing, but the genes that are being coded for in the cell are changing over time. And a lot of that is affected, and I'll throw out a word that maybe some people have heard of and some haven't, by the telomeres, which are the
Yeah.
end caps of the DNA. And as changes were happening there, this was kind of my first look at it. I could see in some of my work at the time that how the cell function or how young the cell function was directly related to that.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to fast forward. I leave college. I go on and become a clinician. I'm, now working in a busy emergency department. And I start realizing in looking at certain people, now you could tell much at 20 years old. Everyone kind of looks young and healthy,
Mhm.
but it's pretty striking the compounding effects that have happened by people's changes in what they're doing. When I meet one person who was 70 and think, oh my God, they're on death's door and they look so, I apologize to say, elderly, and like so many things are breaking down,
Yeah.
right? And then I walk right into the room next door and I look at the person's age and it says, 78 years old. And the guy's telling me, hey, I just fell. Was running a marathon and I fell down and I'm worried about my ankle. And I walk into the other room and the guy's 70 and he can't breathe. And he's like, can I just step out and have one more cigarette? And, he
Yeah.
can't even quite get up and move. And I think something really different happened here between 20 and 70s with the choices these people make. And granted, there's some genetic differences, and there's no doubt about that. I don't want to
Mhm.
hide that. But this got me to take some more interest in what is going on here with people's lifestyle choices that is having such an impact on their choice of if they're going to age or not, right?
Yeah.
Like how this is going to go. Um, I, I'll let you interject with some more questions because I can just keep going with this stuff.
Well, no, I mean, to me, it's fascinating, but I completely agree with you. And the one thing that I've been looking into the blue zones a lot because I'm Costa Rican, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's funny because people will be like, they're vegetarian, they're this, they're that, and I'm like, no, man, like, Costa Ricans that I know are the ones that are out there. They're like, they're over 100, but they're like on bicycles. They're outside chilling. They had got friends. Like, there's nothing that really defines like a set pattern that you can say, oh, this is the reason why people live past 100,
Yes.
right? So,
It's like a set of choices,
mhm.
right? It's not just one thing. It's amazing that you say you're Costa Rican, right? Because lifestyle there, at least for a lot of
Very
people,
different.
is very healthy,
Yeah.
especially from the stress side, right? Like the
Yeah.
whole Cucina. Like there's something
Yeah.
going there that's really good. Um, it's beautiful. So I'm going to kind of sum this up a little bit. We can dive into some details too, but sometimes I'll have patients, neighbors, friends ask me, like, hey, I just read about, I'll give you an example, right? Fasting. Oh, strength training changes everything. Oh my God, I got to eat high protein, right?
Mhm.
If I just meditate, that's obviously it. You know what? Metformin, that's the key. I
Yeah.
got to exercise. I've got like uh, peptides. Peptides change everything. I just got to raise my hormone. Testosterone's the answer,
Yep, yep.
right?
Seen that a lot.
And, yeah, yeah. And here's like kind of my answer back. If you think about like a boat, for instance, and the boat is now older. The pirates have been at sea for 40 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, they've hit a couple things. So there's some holes in the hole and water's leaking in. They've lost two crew members. There's a hole in the sail. The mast is breaking down. The pirate, the captain now has one eye
Mhm.
and a peg leg, and the guys are all moving slower, and the rudder is cracked. And somebody says to me, hey, if we just fix the hole in the sail, are we young again? And this is the tricky part about it. No, the answer is no, right?
Yeah.
I think everyone gets that. it, it's a lot of different things, right? You kind of have to hit it. You do have to be paying attention to the whole. You do have to make sure that the crew is refreshed and young. You do have to fix that patch in there. The captain probably does need to be replaced with somebody else.
Mhm.
And all these things need to happen. So when we talk about all these different things, no, just doing testosterone isn't the answer, and just eating better isn't the answer. And saying, hey, is it okay? But now my guys, hey, because we're doing all these good things, the crew can get drunk on rum every night. We're good because they're young. None of those things are the answer, right? It's
Mhm.
a lot of things. It's a lot of things to work on.
Yeah.
Things are breaking down everywhere.
Yeah, it's global, and that's kind of the one thing that, like, when it comes to fat loss or fitness or anything, when it comes to the human body, I've just kinda come to realize it's always global. Like if you do not take care of your stress levels, right? You don't take care about on what you're eating processed food, or you like to drink, or any of these things. Everything kind of factors in. But one thing I did want to get your take on: what is one of the biggest factors that leads to premature aging, in your opinion?
Oh, good question. Um, let me think about that. Because it's as much I'm going to start and say this. This is all as much about what you do as what you don't do.
Oof, yeah, that's true. That's
Right?
true.
Like, you
Yeah,
understand what I'm saying? Like,
a hundred
everyone's
percent.
everyone's looking at, like, just tell me the supplement or tell me the exercise, but then they're like, "Now I'm doing this, but, I'm partying in Vegas every weekend and not sleeping," or whatever. So,
And I don't drink
both
water.
yeah, don't drink water, right? So, it's a great question. So, I would say I'm gonna kinda hit what so I would say that a lack of exercise, I'll throw on, is
Mhm.
really damaging, right? A lack of exercise, a, a, a lack of sleep is damaging.
Yeah.
Being overweight is really pro aging. This is like, the inflammaging word. You know,
Yeah.
I, I tell people that, if you grab your gut, which, I have a little bit, but constantly working on it, any body fat, visceral fat, you should be thinking of this. Here's a good way, because a lot of times stuff is mental, is that's a tumor on your body,
Oof.
right? That is a tumor. It's really biologically active, endocrinology, like hormone producing,
Yeah.
right? Lots of hormones coming from fat. So you have like, if you start looking at it that way, for anyone listening, and you look down and you can, like, really grab your gut,
Mhm.
generally if you have the gut, the love handles and all that kind of stuff, the dad bod,
Yeah.
um, you have a lot of visceral fat going on inside. And that is a really aging tumor, pro aging tumor you have on your body. And then I'll throw on the toxin effects. And toxin effects, I will say, I'm going to throw this in, drinking drugs, right? And then I'm going to actually throw in there for everyone to think about this way too, which will help you: processed food,
Mm.
right?
Yep. I
Processed
agree
food
with
is
you.
essentially drugs. It's legal drugs.
Yep.
That's the bottom line. No one's selling that to you with any nutritional value. It's all to
Absolutely
get a
not.
dopamine high.
Yeah.
This is why we want it. So I'll throw that stuff on there, and I'm making this long, but the aging, I kind of have this list, and I'll throw it out there. Is what is aging you is inflammation, oxidation, glycation, which is sugars on the body. Okay, on top of toxins, chronic infections, poor diet, poor sleep, lack of exercise, all on top of telomere shortening, the ends
Oh,
of your DNA,
yeah.
which just happens over time. But that summary is the whole aging story, I've got to admit to you.
Yeah.
So eliminating those bad things and bringing in things that slow that stuff down is really kind of the story to all of this. And we can talk about, like, more specific here if we want.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's interesting because the first time I ever heard of telomeres, I don't know if you ever gone down this rabbit hole, but I was learning about the Anunnaki and like crazy, ancient history, and it's kind of like the occulted history of humanity. And they said that they capped us at 120, right? And since then, humanity's been trying to find a way to extend said telomeres, because if we extend them, we can live to the times of like Noah or David or whatever back in the day, right?
Yeah.
It was like 200 or whatever. And it's interesting because now I feel like almost like we're almost cracking that code. So when it comes to the telomeres, is there any way that we can actually extend them, or, kind of go past that quote unquote cap?
Yeah, this is an interesting question, because as much as we're all talking about it, and most here's what's interesting. most of the anti-aging things that we talk about, and I want to slip in some things because people are listening, like fasting,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like eating, berries and, things that are strong antioxidants, like exercising, like meditating, like drinking clean water,
Mm-hmm.
are all things that ultimately, and this is my approach to aging, do interestingly affect telomere shortening. So
Interesting.
all these other things that we're all talking about that are like, oh, this is good for you, this is good for you, you can actually kind of see that it's good for you because telomeres shorten less for all the good things. When I see things that people talk about for aging
Yeah.
that don't have telomere effects, I kind of question they might be beneficial for other reasons. Okay. But I question how much it's helping the aging story.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, the DNA stability is, which is related to the telomere shortening, I'll just
Mm-hmm.
put in that punchline, is kind of where it's all found. Even all those blue zone activities and stuff
Yeah.
are all kind of like related to this. So going back to your question, in terms of can we cap it? So like a product that I sell, and this isn't to push products, like I'm really not that guy. I just want to tell everyone, like I'm interested in sharing information, whatever you want to take, great.
Yep.
Um, so like there's a product that I do take a lot. It's called TA65. It's the only natural telomerase activator. I don't know if you've heard that word.
Oh, please do tell.
Yeah. So, and this is kind of an interesting story because we're on the telomere story. Um, is is that telomeres, which are the ends of the DNA? I think it sounds like you're familiar with
Hmm.
that. That shorten over our lifetimes. Um, there is an enzyme. There is an enzyme which, for everyone listening, without this science background that I probably spent too much time on. But an enzyme is just a protein that does work in your cells, basically. It's a machine. Just think about that. It's a machine. Okay, so there is a telomerase machine that extends the telomere length that your body can make. It's turned off in all of your cells, except, and this is what will make like great sense to everyone, except where men produce sperm and where women produce eggs. And this should make sense because the kids come out with a full length of telomeres. So
Hmm.
there is one part of your body where you extend the telomere to the full length and you give it to the baby. Doesn't that kind of make sense though?
Yeah, it's interesting. It makes
Right?
perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense. The kids have the full length, and all of your cells in your body have the same DNA. So if you can extend the telomere for sperm, in theory, you could extend the
Send the telomere
telomere in every
everywhere.
cell. But
Oh.
the issue is we don't turn it on in the other cells because it's a separate topic. We are designed to die.
Hmm. Yeah.
We're really designed to die. And so, as much as we're trying to push this limit, Mother Nature does want us to go. And the reason why is for what they call epigenetic changes
Epigenetics, yeah.
for the environment, because the environment's changing. So the new kids kind of adjust to the new environment slowly as the environment's changing. A matter of fact, there's a lot of scientists who believe that if we could live to 400 years, that we may kill off the species, right? Because this is important that we die to adjust for the kids to adjust to the new environmental
Yeah,
changes.
renew.
So, like as I'm talking on and on about telomerase activators, this is one kind of interesting thing is that we talk about activating. So this supplement TA65 uses a protein from astragalus, and they sell astragalus and extragalus
Yeah.
extracts online. And the reason why I use TA65 is because there's really just one isomer of in the astragalus that does this, and these are the only guys who really purify that one. It's kind of like taking curcumin versus turmeric,
Yeah.
right? Turmeric's the whole thing, but really you're taking turmeric just to get curcumin,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So just taking curcumin is actually way better because you're getting the thing you want, right? Or drinking red wine to get resveratrol. You really
Yeah.
just want to take
It's very
resveratrol
troll.
because
Yeah.
the alcohol would just be too much, right, to have any
Mm-hmm.
good effects.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to say is, if you could, like with TA65, activate the telomerase enough to keep the telomere at a constant, right? So couldn't shorten. You were extending as fast as you were shortening, right? Then in theory, you would stop aging if you
Yeah.
believe telomerase is everything. So this amazing supplement does about 10% of that.
Oh.
So meaning if 100% kept it constant, not lengthened, just kept up like the frog jumping out of the well
Mm-hmm.
goes up
Yeah.
and back to, the supplements don't even go down three, up three. It's like for every 10 you fall back, it only now falls back 9.
Still
So
moving forward.
yeah. But like, do you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
it's very little still in this entire process. So that's the issue. So when you say, where are we with it? We're we're not really that close, but the idea with all this stuff, like what Dave talks about, because I've talked to Dave about this, is that if I can get you to 150, well, you'll be around for the next thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not here yet. It's like, and I will say that the way I talk about this stuff isn't so much about how long you can live. You want to be as healthy as you can be today.
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to stop there because I just said a long, long mouthful.
No, but I completely agree with you because it's kind of like, as we get older and as we age, you want to age gracefully, right? And that's the one
Yes.
thing, like, I don't fear aging because I know I've seen people that are healthy in their 80s, right? Seeing people that are
Yeah.
85, 90, and they're running around like nothing's ever happened. They're just like, they're still good, they're solid. What scares me though is that, we do see this a lot in North America where people will hit 80, retire, and all of a sudden they just start to decline. And it's like dementia, Alzheimer's, all these different things that exist. But I'm a big believer. I think the first time I ever heard of epigenetics was Dr. Joe Dispenza, who was talking about that as well, right? And he kind of got me down that rabbit hole. And I'm like, wait a minute. So a lot of the disease that we have may be self-inflicted, and
Yeah.
maybe a
Yeah.
lot of the things that are going on in our society is due to what we are doing, and we are the ones, unfortunately, that are contributing to all these factors. And what we should be doing is cutting it out. And again, to your point, it's a global thing. It's not. It's a multi-pronged approach, right? Is what I'm trying to say. And I completely agree with you there. And the more that we can do on our side, the better off we will be when we do reach those ages. And age truly just becomes a number. Which, like, I'm 85, but I'm sprung. I'm good to go. I'm healthy. My hormones
Yeah.
are in check. It's fantastic.
And what I want to like share with everyone is just like an old car or anything that you see, as it ages and breaks down, the how good of shape it is today
Mhm.
is really relative to where it will be in the future, right? Like, today really is the first day of the rest of your life. Like, whatever's
Mhm.
happened before really is irrelevant. I don't know what else to say. It doesn't exist anymore, right? Like,
Yeah.
today is the day. And the one thing I can tell you is that in the body itself, there really isn't a system to activate that goes in. I'll make a simple one because a lot of people are interested in their skin and you can see the skin.
Mhm.
So that's nice, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can't look at your liver and say, whoa, that doesn't look too good, right? Like, it's like a visible part of my body, right? My
Mhm.
skin. So unfortunately, there is no proteins or systems in your body that can be activated that can be like, I'm going to go in and fix that up again, just the way it was when you were 15.
Mm-hmm.
Like that doesn't exist. All I really can do is slow down the progression of the damage,
Yeah.
right? Like, in effect, I'll give you an idea because we're talking about telomeres, and I hope people are familiar with telomeres, what
Oh
we're
yeah.
talking
I
about.
think so.
Yeah. So look, if like everyone knows that like the Buddhist monks have slow telomere shortening. We know
Mm,
this. This
yeah.
is kind of like you're studying the blue zones, which is amazing, by the way, to study. Um, but those activities have slow telomere shortening. Okay. And if you think about it, slowing telomere shortening in a way is the same thing almost as lengthening, right? Like you have to kind of twist your brain into that. But look at it this way: if you took it all the way to the point where you weren't shortening at all because you could slow it so much,
Mhm.
well, I really don't need to lengthen in that case, right? Because I, if everyone is shortening and I'm not aging,
Exactly.
right? Relative to the population. And this is how a lot of things are if you think about it. Like if you drink a Coca-Cola, it's accelerating aging. So by definition, not drinking the Coca-Cola is slowing aging,
Yeah.
right? Like
That
this
makes
is
sense. Yeah.
yeah, this is why the choices you make every day is really, and I do think about stuff this way, um, is a choice of, do I want to take the hit from that?
Yeah.
Right? There's some French fries on the table.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying nobody's perfect, but there's a cost to everything,
A hundred
right?
percent.
There's a cost to everything.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned, the French fries on the table. I haven't had McDonald's. I can't even remember the last time I had it. Probably about 4 years ago or 5 years ago. And then recently, a friend of mine at work's like, hey, you know what? I'll buy you Burger King, man. I'm like, all right, cool. And you got me the
Yeah, yeah,
double baconator with cheese or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I was eating it, just feeling the grease go down. I'm like, this thing's wrapped in plastic. So I'm like, it's got endocrine disruptors.
Yeah,
It's gonna probably feel like crap, after it's all done, in my system and I'm trying to digest it. And the thing is too, it's like I even found out the lining that they use for the boxes is wrapped in plastic as well. So I'm like, it's got microplastics, endocrine
yeah.
disruptors. It's probably the worst thing I could eat right now, along with the Coca-Cola. But I said, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna have it this one time. That was the first time that I've had a greasy ass burger like that from a fast food joint in about 5 years. You know what? And the thing is, I'll have that one hit once every 4 years, 5 years, fine. But I look around and I see a lot of people, that's their daily intake.
Daily. Like I'm
Daily.
so surprised, like just even being in the hospital and watching like patients or family members come down and they're just like, I'll have a burger, fries, Coca-Cola. Then they go outside for a cigarette. And,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, this is, and a bag of Cheetos,
Yes. Yes.
right? And I'm thinking, dude, they are doing this all day long.
Yeah.
Like the body can't even keep up with fixing this. Like
No.
it,
No.
it's incredible, like what people do. And the answer is the best way I can explain this is that the people selling all this stuff, first of all, they don't eat this stuff. I'm going to tell you
No.
this right now.
Yeah, no.
It's like thinking about Pablo Escobar
Doing
snorting
coke.
cocaine.
Yeah.
He doesn't snort coke, okay? Like I tell people this stuff, they don't do it. By the way, all the social media guys, their kids can't use social media.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I looked into that. Zuckerberg, all of them, they're just like, nope. And Steve Jobs, I think, didn't allow his kid to have an iPad till he was like
yeah,
16.
didn't have his lads a kid. So it's like, look, if you want to consume it, have at it.
Yeah.
We're happy being healthy and doing it our way. These are all your choices. But the bottom line is someone's really profiting off all this stuff. And half of, let's say, the food industry is just getting you to buy it. They no one's looking out for your health.
Mm-hmm.
They are trying to have the bottom line look good. And hey, if you want to do it, go for it. And we love it. But these are all your own choices. And the thing is that makes it so hard to live is so much of it is coming at you all the time that it's hard to resist it.
It
I'm gonna
is.
I'm gonna ask you a quick question in the middle. There's a little bit of noise in the background. Can
Oh,
you hear that or no?
no, that's fine.
Okay. Okay.
You're golden. Yeah, no, it's that's what marketing and advertising is all about. Like their whole job is to basically market the products out. And even when I studied into like, companies that would say all natural juice, they found that sales would go up by like 20% because people want to lie to themselves. And unfortunately, you look at the way that they advertise or they market these products, they will market it as a health product. But granola bars,
Yes.
cereals, all that. I mean, I'll look at it, tell my son, this is straight garbage. And the thing is, like, my son then gets offered some of that food. And, it's funny because he got in trouble one day. He's like, somebody was offering some food and he said that was garbage. And I was like, well, he's not wrong. And the teacher looked at me, he was like, you're a dick. But
Yeah.
at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm like, well, he's not wrong. He's not wrong either. So, truth be told, it is what it is. And he's going to just stick to more of a paleo kind of center diet. So yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. 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 And that is what it is. It's interesting you say that because the ultimate thing I think that sells is that people really do want to do some of these things that are harmful because let's face it, it tastes good, right?
Delicious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's delicious. It's designed to be delicious. If you actually read in some of the older books, I'm trying to think of like Gabriel Garcia Marquez, like some of these books I remember reading, I can't remember what it is. Was it Love in the Time of Cholera? Was that his? I can't remember. But like they'll talk about life being young and food not being tasty.
Yeah.
Food 100 years ago was not that tasty, by the way. It just wasn't,
It's
right? Like
fuel.
bread. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was just fuel. Bread was all like wheat and it was tough and it was
Yeah.
just like chaff, right? And then you had some like vegetables and some potatoes and some soup. It wasn't like tasty,
Like
right?
it
It
is
was just
now. Mm-hmm.
like it is now. And that's all designed really just to sell you. Kind of an interesting experiment that I'll throw out for people. I do this a lot. It's a mental game. Is that a lot of times when you feel hungry, what I'll do is in my fridge, I'll put like a bowl. I do this actually a lot. Like a bowl of like cold broccoli,
Mm-hmm.
okay, or carrots. And I'll think in my head, hey, I'm hungry. And I'll open up my fridge and see the broccoli. And I'll say, you know what? In my mind, I'm like, yeah, I don't really feel like having the broccoli. Really, I realize this. I don't feel like having the broccoli. What I'm really looking for right now
It's taste.
is is some sugar,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Piece of bread sounds good,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Or a chip or something like that. And then what you need to tell yourself, if you were actually hungry, the broccoli would look good to you,
Yep.
right? Because you're hungry.
Yep.
This isn't hunger. This is you trying to satisfy a sugar craving. And there's nothing that's been stronger for me to really try to tell myself when am I actually hungry and when is my gut microbiome, by the way, starving for sugar
Yep.
because that microbiome is what's telling your brain, I want sugar. Your bacteria wants to get fed,
Mm-hmm.
not you. Your bacteria wants to get fed, and they turn on genes in your brain saying, I need some sugar, right? Because it's like that's what they're working off of. It's interesting if you ever try going keto
Oh
or if
yeah.
you've ever done it,
Yeah.
which I actually do believe is very good for you. It's a different discussion. Um, it's pretty wild. You really lose your sugar craving. Once your gut microbiome, you get rid of like all the candida and stuff that's looking for sugar,
Yeah.
when you go out and see cake or something, you're like, yeah, I'm not that interested. Like, really naturally, not that interested. And
Yeah.
it's pretty wild how much that's just a brain thing. And it's really not hunger at all.
Yeah, to your point, when I did keto a while back and I was pretty, going low carbs, I remember after about on the 4th day, I would say,
Fourth day.
yeah, it's kinda like after 72 hours the first 72 hours felt like, "Yo, man, I just want to eat a piece of bread." Like, I just want
And you're like
pizza.
irritable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
No.
almost like you're just kinda hangry the whole time,
Yeah.
I'll just eat these veggies and this fat and whatever. You're like, "Yeah, it's not bad." The thing is, though, over time, you just gotta stick with it. You just gotta stick with it, and by day 4, it's almost like your body just makes that it just flips that switch, and now you go from, craving the sugars, you're just looking at it to I'm not really all that interested. I can drink my coffee black. It's fine.
Yeah.
And that switch happens and everything just kinda changes.
Yeah. What really happens there is that your gut microbiome changes. Like the hangry is your gut microbiome, all the bacteria that are just living off sugar are like screaming to your brain. They just like the genes they turn out. It's pretty interesting in studies when these bacteria submit stuff into your gut,
Mhm.
within seconds, your brain, like appetite things, switching your brain. The gut literally says what it wants. The bacteria in your gut tell your brain what you want to eat
Interesting.
because it's what they need.
Yeah, to
And
survive.
they will just crank it up if they're starving. I mean, just think they're gonna die. Like you said, it's survival. So
Mhm.
they have adapted through evolution to secrete stuff to tell your brain what they need. And when you're going into that second or third day, you got to think this stuff's all about to die.
Mhm.
It is max on making you irritable and hangry. Max. And then what happens on day 4? They die.
Then you're just like, "Oh."
Once they're dead, that is when you're like, yeah, I don't really feel like sugar anymore.
Yeah.
That is exactly what's happening in your body. It's super cool, actually.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I'd kind of read into the science of it, but not really. I'm like, "Oh, you know what? I knew that by day 4, if I could just hold out, the cravings would just end. They'd subside, and they did. And initially, it was pretty tough, but after my second go at keto, it almost felt like it was a little bit less too, right? But the one thing that I do want to kind of get your take before we finish off today is what can somebody start doing right now to improve, their life, their basically quality of life, and what is some anti-aging technique that they can kind of start employing into their life that's very basic. Like we mentioned, the kind of global side of things, but what's one thing that you'd say, hey, you know what? Start off with this and start building up on other things.
Yeah, I'm gonna put number one at I'm gonna throw two because the basics is where you need to start before you start going to all these supplements everyone's trying to sell you. If you don't have the basics down, like don't spend money on the other stuff. That's really my true opinion on this.
100%. Yes.
Yeah, you don't have the free stuff down, like forget it. So number one, I'll say if you're eating processed foods or smoking or drinking regularly, drop them.
Mhm.
That alone is life changing. Just those things. Processed foods is if it's in a bag or a box and it's not growing on the ground or living. By the way, you usually can just tell by the color. Like
Yeah.
it's the next time you have a plate of food, all like the brown, dead looking stuff, that stuff isn't helping you. Like French
Mhm.
fries,
Yeah.
right? It's pretty easy, right? This stuff is pretty basic. So I'll say that first. Then I'll put in for the add-ons. What I'll say is I do believe so. Different topic. We can get into it if we talk again.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
food, food in general is pretty hard on your body. You
Mhm.
need food to operate, but food is hard on your body. So I would say some form of intermittent fasting
Boom.
and don't
Yeah.
go hardcore. Just be like, I'm going to have my first meal at noon. That's something so simple to start off with. And then I'm going to drop one more on there that's super easy, some form of exercise. And
Yes.
everyone gets into now what's the best one? Guess what? Going for very little exercise to doing anything, you just did 95% of it. Forget what the best one is. Like,
100%.
seriously, when people start going down this, like, what do I need to do? You know what? Open your front door and go. I don't
Yes.
care what it is. Run, walk, something. How long? Something. If 10 minutes, and this is a good way to wire your brain, because look, the first step is everything.
Yeah.
It's not 1 hour. It's the first step is everything. Because what I find in my brain when I tell myself, hey, I don't feel like working out. And then I think, you know what? I find time to brush my teeth and go to the bathroom every day. I can find 5 minutes to work out.
Yes.
Everyone can find 5 minutes because you find 5 minutes to poop. Okay. So, like, forget it. You can do it. So, what I say is just go say to yourself, I'm going to go outside and do a 5 minute walk. Because I promise you, once you start walking for five, turns into 15. I
100%.
promise.
Yeah.
Right. Once you're doing it, you're like, hey, this is kind of fun. Right. Like,
Yep.
so then, so I'm going to start just with those things before any of the special, cool, exotic stuff.
Mhm.
Drop the major things that are bad for you. Intermittent fast till noon. It's pretty easy, just noon, right? Don't worry about what time you stop at night. We're talking about beginnings. And every day, all I'm going to say is you're going to work out for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. You can all find 5 minutes. It's like just think in your head. Yeah, I could brush my teeth. I can walk outside. I'm just going to time it for 5 minutes. Just see what happens just from that. And
100%.
that's what I'm going to say to start with.
Boom. Perfect way to end this podcast. Honestly, Steven, this was great, man, because what I loved is the fact that you made it simple. I mean, and we basically looked at the foundational things that a lot of people overlook. A lot of people overlook them and they don't realize the impact that it has on their lives long term. Like we talked about compound interest at the beginning. This is it. This
Yeah,
is where it
yeah, yeah.
starts and this is where
Pays
you get
dividends.
started. 100%. But before you leave today, where can we find you? Give us all the links. And again, guys, all the links are going to be in the description. But if you could let us know here as well.
Yeah, for sure. So my website, which is always in progress, as you know,
Yeah, I saw the journal
yeah,
though.
always in progress, is DRSG. I don't know where that came from. Somebody started chanting it one time when I was doing a lecture. DR, so for Dr. Stephen Gabriel, DRSG.co, CO, because
Gotcha.
.com is really expensive. And and so drsg.co, and then I post on Instagram. I just do some videos once in a while. It's Dr. Stephen Gabriel, Dr. Stephen with a V, Gabriel. And yeah, I just throw stuff up. I do this is all just for fun. I'm passionate about it. I love it. All any of the products on there, feel free to, write me, connect with me. I will just tell you it, my primary on this is because people were always asking me, what is the stuff that I take? What do I give my parents? What do I give my kids and my friends, family? Is the stuff that's on there. It is not profit driven. Some of it, I don't even think I get anything. But people always ask me, what do you take? So I'm like, I got to have a central place where all my stuff is.
Yeah.
Um, Anything that I sell that I can do, I just do through Amazon because it's easier to fulfill from there because
Hmm.
me shipping stuff out of my house, do this stuff out of my house was too hard. So I just move it all to Amazon. You can do it through there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and it's all like really science backed, makes a difference. I draw my own blood and I check stuff out. It's all in this world, but do the basics first. It's all free. You get 90% of it just doing the basics.
100%. Well, this was awesome. We'll definitely talk again in the near future. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
All right. See you guys. Great talking.